You're listening to the Cookbook Love Podcast with Maggie Green, episode number 364.
Welcome to the Cookbook Love Podcast, a podcast that celebrates cookbook readers, buyers, collectors, writers, and clubs. And now your host, cookbook author, culinary dietitian, and cookbook writing coach, Maggie Green.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Cookbook Love Podcast. How's everybody doing today? Hope you are all doing well. It is currently Friday afternoon here. I have been spending the day here in my kitchen, in my office, enjoying a quiet day. Went to the supermarket this morning and decided when I got home that I wanted to test a recipe out of a cookbook that I received and was pitched for someone to come on the show. And because a lot of times on Friday nights we make pizza, I decided tonight to make some focaccia bread and to see how it rivals my favorite focaccia bread, which is found in the Essentials of Classic Italian Cooking by Marcella Hazen. It's a focaccia bread recipe that I've used for years, but I decided to try the recipe from this new book. And let me tell you a little bit about this recipe. First of all, it uses bread flour instead of all-purpose flour. And the initial beating of the flour and water together, which it was about equal hydration, 400 grams of bread flour, 400 grams or 400 mLs of water. So it's a pretty hydrated dough, but I had to beat it for 14 minutes with the dough hook on the stand mixer. Now, I've had breads that say 5 minutes, 7 minutes until it pulls away from the side of the bowl. But I timed it for 14 minutes, let it go, then let it rise. And it went through a series of rising periods, 3 different ones in the bowl that took 4 hours and an additional rise on the sheet pan, which takes an hour. That's currently the stage that I'm at. So after we finish with recording this show, I'll go upstairs, put some onion, black olive, a little more olive oil, some flaky salt on it, and I'll bake it and have it ready for dinner tonight. So I'm very excited about that. And I love trying recipes out of cookbooks I receive for the show. And I just excited to give it a try. I think I'll make some lentil soup and enjoy a nice Friday night here at home, having soup and bread. Okay, so today, I want to talk to you about permission, and the only permission you need if you want to write a cookbook. Because the truth of the matter is that a lot has changed in publishing over the years about who we need permission from and how we actually get into a publisher or find a publisher, and the way that we've had this evolution in the cookbook publishing space. So it used to be that there were old, and I don't mean old, but like in previous times of publishing, gatekeepers. Cookbook publishing was tightly controlled by a handful of people, and even by just a handful of companies. I would say that even the number of publishing companies has really exploded over the years, but the publishers themselves kind of made decisions about what types of books were marketable. New York City was always kind of like the epicenter of the publishing industry. The acquisitions editors at the publishing houses decided which voices or which people or which ideas were polished enough to get published by these publishing houses. Agents decided who got into the conversation with an acquisitions editor or with a publisher. And the reality was that a lot of times, unless you were a celebrity, you had a TV show, maybe you had a restaurant, you almost never got past these gates to get a publishing deal. That meant that a lot of voices, self-taught cooks, family cooks, home bakers, dietitians, nutritionists, even back when food blogging started, these voices were not heard from. Not because what they did wasn't excellent or didn't matter, but because someone in an office, in a publishing house, often in New York City, decided their story wasn't a safe bet for their publishing house, or cookbook authors maybe didn't think that they had a chance of getting published, so they didn't even submit their ideas to the publisher. Well, the good news is that was the old way. The dream of writing a cookbook can no longer be stopped with just one person saying no. We're in a new time for publishing, and it's evolved in a lot of very exciting ways. So the shift is that traditional publishers are more interested than ever in unique voices, lived experiences, authentic stories. Now, traditional publishers still have gatekeepers, but the doors are open wider than ever before. Publishers are hungry for new perspectives. They want to publish books from new cultures, different cultures. They want to hear lived experiences that haven't been published before. They don't want to silence anyone's voices if they can help it. They really want to be a place where many different types of voices are heard. And this is very encouraging news and a very big breakthrough with a very exciting shift in the cooking and publishing, cookbook publishing space. Because every culture and every person has to eat, and we all have to cook. And hearing this diverse number of stories and diverse types of stories is very exciting. Now, there are still agents, and there are still acquisitions editors, and there are still publishers. So there is still a process that you sometimes have to follow to get into traditional publishing, but they're very open to hearing from different types of people. The other thing to think about is that there are independent presses that publish books that maybe you do not have to have an agent to get your proposal read by them. They accept unsolicited proposals. There are several publishers that specifically focus on global foodways, such as Interlink Publishing, Hippocrene Books. Phaidon has always been known for international and regional cuisine lists. And another example is that there is a sister imprint at 10 Speed Press called Four Color Books. It was founded by Bryant Terry and was specifically created to collaborate with groundbreaking BIPOC creators. And the anthology, his book called Black Food, won the 2002 Art of Eating Prize. So this is all great news in traditional publishing, and just something that I think maybe for some of you will be a word of encouragement. That if you thought your voice might have been silenced before, traditional publishers are responding differently to the types of things that are being presented to them. The second thing to think about, though, is while traditional publishers are opening up, the biggest change on the self-publishing side is that the act of self-publishing and the rise of self-publishing platforms such as Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing and Ingram Spark has taken down the walls even to self-publishing. You don't need an agent or a book deal or a contract to self-publish a book. If you have recipes, stories, and the willingness to put them together, you can publish these stories, recipes, and your processes on your own. And I have seen this work again and again and again. I've had students that don't cook a lot. I've had students that cook all the time. I've had students that all they really needed to do was gather their information together, get it laid out and designed, and they can publish their book on Amazon. It doesn't take as long to self-publish. Traditional trajectory for traditionally published books could be 2 to 3 years. Self-publishing projects could be anywhere from 6 months to a year. So the gate is definitely wide open with all the publishing platforms and self-publishing platforms that are not scams. They're legitimate ways to get your cookbooks published. So what does that mean if the walls have really come down a lot of ways in traditional publishing and self-publishing? Who are the gatekeepers then? If publishers and agents aren't the ones holding the keys anymore, who is stopping us from publishing? And the interesting thing is that, much to your surprise perhaps, or maybe you will resonate with this, our gatekeepers live very close to our home. They live very close to us because typically it's ourselves that gatekeep our work. Starting with the voice on the inside that says to us, "Who are you? You're just a self-taught cook. You don't have the expertise. Maybe you're not ready. Nobody will really care. No one wants to hear about your story. Everything you do just seems so common or so outlandish. It doesn't really matter. That voice has the potential to stop us. And I think that we need to consider our inner critic to be a gatekeeper. The second thing that gatekeeps us from writing our books is how we use our time and how we prioritize the time that we have. We have to make some space to honor our dream to write a cookbook instead of pushing it to the side. And if we're not able to do that or we're not willing to do that, that fact alone stops us from writing our cookbooks. And then the third thing is not knowing the steps to take to go from undocumented recipes to or piles of recipes to a finished book. The truth of the matter is that publishing a book is just a series of steps. Publishing a cookbook is a series of steps, and everybody that writes and publishes a cookbook goes through a basic series of steps. And if that's the case, I often wonder why more cookbooks aren't being written if we all know the basic steps. But that's because of the gatekeeper. Often ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, how we think about ourselves, how we use our time, how we prioritize our time, and just the ability to understand the steps and make sure that we're following them in the correct order. It's one of the big advantages of traditional publishing. I loved having my books traditionally published. I loved being on a quote-unquote publishing team to get my books published, working with the editor, working with the production team, waiting for the book to be printed, looking at the proofs, and then all the fun things that I was able to do when we did the marketing and promotion of the book. So I think there's a whole journey, of course, writing a cookbook and promoting it and selling it. But just remember that we don't want to let our own inner voice and our own use of our time truly be the gatekeepers that stop us from writing the book that we want to write. So this is where I want you to know that the difference between those who do publish and those who don't, it often doesn't boil down to talent or expertise or credentials or luck. We used to maybe be able to say that, but in 2025, we can't say that. The difference between people who publish and don't publish in 2025 is our choice to believe that our lived experience matters and that it's worth sharing in a book. Let me say that again. The difference between people in 2025 who publish and don't publish is our choice to believe in our lived experience, that it matters, and that it's worth sharing for the benefit of other people. What you have gone through and the things you've experienced in your kitchen matters. Let me tell you another story. In this book where I'm testing the focaccia bread, there's a recipe in the book for key lime pie. Now, I feel like key lime pie is a pretty common pie. I've made it a lot. I see it in a lot of recipes. I see it in go out to eat. I see it in supermarkets, especially like if you go to Publix when you're in Florida or in the South, a lot of key lime pie. What a lot of people would think, why would there need to be a recipe in a cookbook for key lime pie? There's not that much special about this recipe. Who owns the recipe for key lime pie? How can someone just put a recipe for key lime pie in their book? Well, this person loves lime, and they're kind of doing a little bit of a seasonal twist on putting these different baked goods together, and they wanted to have a recipe in their book for key lime pie, so they tested one, wrote it up, put it in their book. The point of all of this is that even things that seem common, if you're willing to publish them, people love having a curated set of recipes. And in the episode that comes out next week, I'm going to talk to a cookbook author that has works with her family, and they have published 11 cookbooks. And they also have a very successful food blog. But I said to them and asked her specifically, what is it about a cookbook that your audience loves? And what she's going to tell you, and this is a little bit of a flash forward to next week, is that they love knowing that all their favorite recipes are in a book that they can easily access rather than trying to search for things on their blog. Same thing's true for your book. A set of recipes all together in one place that people can use day in and day out and try and cook from rather than trying to search for things online. That is something that everybody very much appreciates and is very much enjoying in 2025. So you don't have to wait to feel like an expert. You don't have to have permission from a publisher. You have to know that you have what it takes, that your experience counts, and that you can do the cookbook publishing project that you want to do or that you've always dreamed of doing. So I'm very excited to announce that beginning on September the 2nd, I am releasing a Cookbook Publishing Masterclass. It's a 3-part video series all about cookbook publishing. I'm going to walk you through the process, talk about cookbook publishing in 3 different ways, and this is going to be something that is a free gift to you, but the only way that you're going to be able to access it is if you get on my email list. So head on over to www.cookbookwritersacademy.com/CPM waitlist. That's CPM as in Cookbook Publishing Masterclass waitlist. I'll put a link down in the bottom in the show notes, and you can get on the waitlist so that you will receive notification when the videos are available beginning September the 2nd. I'm going to walk you through, like I said, these 3 steps to cookbook publishing. It's going to be a great series of videos, and I look forward to having you join me then so I can show you why now is the perfect time to share your recipes in a book. You'll see what changes when you move from scattered recipes to actually curating a set of recipes and publishing them in a book. And I'm going to show you how to take control of the publishing process so your cookbook reflects your voice, your story, your expertise, no matter how you learned it. So again, www.cookbookwritersacademy.com/CPM waitlist. Get on the waitlist and you will get notice of when the video series releases. So let's close with this. The old gatekeepers are not in charge anymore. They're wonderful people. They do wonderful work, but publishing is evolving. Traditional and self-publishing doors are wide open to authors, and the only permission you need to publish your cookbook is permission from yourself. So that is it for today's episode of the Cookbook Love Podcast. This is your host, Maggie Green. Until next time, have a great day and keep loving your cookbooks.
Thanks for listening to the Cookbook Love Podcast. You can find out more information at www.cookbooklove.co.